I feel like everyone should have the opportunity to have education. So,
Oh yeah, you're an educator.
Anyone. Yeah.
Okay, so that's important for you.
Yeah.
Social welfare? Who deserves welfare?
Yeah. I don't think, well, it's hard to discuss because it's like...
And they show up at the hospital and they're like, listen, I broke my foot jumping into the Rio Grande, to the river, crossing over, and now I need an operation on my foot. Can you guys take care of that for me? So percentage-wise, there are fewer undocumented immigrants here in the United States today than there were 40 years ago. Hey, why do you think we have birth certificates, and why do you think that's important?
To prove that you were born in this country.
And why is that important? Imagine you're the king of the world. Mm-hmm. You're the king of the U.S.
Yeah.
Why is that important for you? Hold the mic.
So we know where people are from originally, born. I feel like it's important to know people's origination, country, country of origin.
How about just the number of people?
Yeah, that too, essentially.
And you want to know where they're living.
Yeah.
And how about decisions about voting?
What do you mean?
Well, we have a system that's based on voting.
Yeah.
And so you want to know, who can participate?
Who's eligible.
Okay, so you want to know that.
Yeah.
What else?
I guess just know the general population, know how many people are being born every year. With that comes Social Security. You're giving people a number. You're identifying who's an American citizen or who's a citizen legally. And then, tallying that up, basically, it goes into, the census and everything. You're getting a general vibe of,
awesome.
Who's born where.
Yep, awesome. And if people are on H-1Bs or they have green cards or whatever. And then you want to know who you're going to allow when people leave the United States. Mm-hmm. You need to know who they are.
Yeah, exactly.
And other countries need to know who they are.
Yeah.
And then when they want to come back to the United States...
we need to know who they are. We're letting back in who we let go out.
People who come here.
Yeah.
We need to know... We're making decisions about health care.
Yeah.
We're collecting taxes.
Yeah.
We have an entire economy that's based on what you just said, the number of people.
Yeah.
Everything is based on that. Our entire tax system. So we can predict how much money we're going to have in tax revenue 2 years from now, 3 years from now. Because we know who's here.
Well, in the sense of immigration, we don't really know the full population, but we have a pretty good idea based on legal American citizens.
Okay. How about people enrolled in school? You want to know who can and can't be enrolled in school?
I feel like everyone should have the opportunity to have education. So,
oh yeah, you're an educator.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's important for you.
Yeah.
Social welfare. Who deserves welfare?
Yeah. I don't think. Well, it's hard to discuss because it's yes, legality reasons, being a legal citizen, you deserve welfare, but I think also people who are not making above a certain amount of money should also be included in that if they're living in the United States.
Okay, and how about someone who comes over the border illegally?
Okay.
And they need and they hurt their foot on the way over, and they show up at the hospital and they're like, listen, I broke my foot jumping into the Rio Grande, to the river, crossing over, and now I need an operation on my foot. Can you guys take care of that for me?
Okay, well, this is obviously hypothetical because I don't think any illegal immigrant is going to willingly admit that they illegally came across the border.
You got hospitals who don't ask.
Do I think they deserve the health care? Of course.
Well, but wait, across the board? Because what if suddenly millions of people are lining up for medical procedures that taxpayers got to pay for? Yeah,
but in our country, our health care isn't free. It's not covered. A majority have to have insurance.
Yeah, but people don't have insurance. So you got people who are uninsured and they suddenly show up. And it's a problem, right?
Yeah.
We invest money into our healthcare system. We invest a certain amount and suddenly we have to, all these people are using it in a different way. It's we can't afford that and Yeah,
but it's putting a very large generalization on people. I feel like if we place that label saying that the second we make healthcare available to all, like people will just be like illegal immigrants will be rushing in. I feel like that's like such a generalization that's not necessarily true.
Yeah, it's not true in a large scale.
Yeah.
But in a very small scale,
it could happen.
And so well, most people don't. I mean, really, when you don't have documentation, let me just say this for the sake of everyone.
Yeah.
When you don't have documentation, it's not easy. You don't have access to very many services. Which is a problem for somebody like you who's leans more humanitarian.
Yeah.
So you got these people who have problems and they can't use the services.
Yeah.
Like let's say they have kids and they can't enroll their kids in school.
Yeah.
That's a problem for you.
100%. Because everyone deserves a chance. Like everyone deserves it. I feel like if you're gonna come and.
What if it wasn't just deserve? What if it's like, do you want a bunch of children around who are illiterate, or do you want kids around who are educated?
Educated, of course.
You want who are good at math in particular?
Yeah, right? I think
by the way, they're not born in the United States, so maybe it's more likely they'll be good at math.
Exactly. I feel like a lot of the times, some of the most talented students, some of the most hardworking people, like you said, like are immigrants, and they are just not given a chance. Like.
Okay.
There's so many, like without that development, without that education, I feel like we're limiting the knowledge. Like we have future geniuses that we wouldn't even know about that could be illegal immigrants.
Okay, but I want you to don't stay with that liberal perspective.
Okay.
Stay with the very practical one. It's like we need people. Look, first off, you're likely a bunch of you are going to stay here, or even you're going to go back home. You need to be educated, man. You need to we need to build the world up to be better than what it is. So it's
of course.
So we want to know who's here, and then if you're not here, we want to be able to track you. So one of the things that I said last class, I don't know if you remember, but back when I was studying illegal immigration, when I was the age of your parents when they came here, by the way, in my early 20s. There was like 9 to 11 million people who we counted, we thought were undocumented. And today it's, 13 to 14 million, which is interesting. Like what happened in the meantime that suddenly this is such a major issue? Because the population of the United States back then was 250 million, and now it's 340 million. So percentage-wise, there are fewer undocumented immigrants here in the United States today than there were 40 years ago, okay, as a percentage of the population. And the problem is, this whole time is, you gotta know who people are. If you're in charge, you gotta know who's who and who's what, and you wanna know that.
Yeah, of course.
Because you can build a better society.
Yeah, definitely. I think in order to be able to build a better society and know who those people are, maybe making the legalization process not as difficult. It's takes years to become legal in this country, and I feel like making it that inaccessible is a big reason why we don't know who a lot of these illegal immigrants are.
Okay, yeah, I mean this is an issue, right? Which is why right now it's very difficult for ICE to find people, right? They set this number at 3,000 people a day. I'm like, dude, you can't even get 3,000 people a day. You got 13 to 14 million people. Good luck with that. What are you going to do? This becomes very, very complicated. And so people aren't just going to show up. It's a very difficult situation, and I don't know. But luckily my job isn't to solve it. How about even work permits and stuff, right?
Obtaining work permits?
Yeah. Knowing that when you hire an electrician, your electrician actually knows what she or he is doing.
I feel like a lot of the training for that is very much on the job. You learn as you go. So, in terms of immigrants being electricians?
Well, yeah, but whatever it is. But I'm thinking about citizenship, right?
Citizenship.
So I'm thinking about the most important parts of having a birth certificate, a passport, all these things, so you're eligible to do the things that we want you to do. We want you to get training as a teacher,
Of course, but I don't necessarily think that means that I have to have a birth certificate. Like, I feel like that's putting a lot of value on a piece of paper.
Maybe.
I mean, it's very valuable, but at the same time, like, in order for me to, I don't think like you have to have a birth certificate to become something greater than what you are right now.
I'm with you on that. But you just, as if you're the one running the show, for example, like these guys are going to be doing over here, you just want to make sure, you just want to know who's what and where they are and how they are and yeah.
Sure.